Hi, my name is Cheri. Welcome to the second card I'm doing today in a series of stamp sets that are part of Stampin' Up's flash sale. So I'm going to use two more sets. If you have missed the first one, I did the Birch and Winter Woods. So this card has already posted. It used the Winter Woods for the trees. This one I added some baubles and the birch background. This one was plain. So you can see those. I will eventually get still pictures up on my blog like I normally do. That's not going to happen today because I'm trying to get Facebook and YouTube both hit today. This next card, I'm going to use two sets again. I'm going to use my very favorite background. So if you watch my tutorials very often, you already know which one that is. I'm going to use the Buffalo Check. Favorite. If you don't have this, get it today because it's on sale. You have to have this. I mean, it's so trendy. You walk into any home decor place right now, you're going to see Buffalo Check. So you need it. And on today's card, you're going to see just how stamping this makes, you don't need designer series paper because this does it for you. So you have to have it. And it's on sale. I mean, that's what us girls do, right? And then I'm also going to use Waterfront, which has been around for a while. You can tell because the stamp case that I have is green. And fun fact, I had not used it until today. My daughter has used it, so at least it has seen some love. But when I bought it, I never had time. And then, we were off to a new catalog. I think I bought it a year that maybe we had an overseas trip, because we sometimes travel overseas during celebration. And I think that was the year that happened. So she used it, I did not, but it's a fabulous set. It does match. It goes with the current set that we have in the holiday catalog, Snowfront. So you could get this and you could build larger scenes. I'm going to also today use it with a few things from the holiday catalog because I like showing you how you can do old and new together. So just because you have something that's retired or older doesn't mean that it doesn't still work with a lot of our current products. So I am going to use these dies, and they are from the Feels Like Frost Suite, which I'm going to use the paper in a, maybe my next demo, or maybe the last. I haven't decided if I'm going to save my easiest for the end or if I'm going to do my easiest next and save it. But those dies are called frosted frames, and I'm going to use those. So let's get started. It's a super quick card. You're going to like how super quick it is. You're also going to like this color combination, because when I tell you it's basic, here we go. I have a vanilla base, and then my very favorite cardstock is shimmery white. So we're going to have a shimmery white panel, and then I'm going to stamp on shimmery white, and then I've got some gold foil. So let's do our die cutting first. So let's pull this over, and then I'll aim my camera down for you. This one I didn't get as set as well because it takes me about 10 minutes to get it reset, just in all honesty, from moving from Facebook to this. And I decided as many things as I want to do today, I don't have time to keep messing with the camera. So some of my camera angles might not be the best, but literally if I do 4 back and forth, that's going to be over an hour of my day. More than that, going from one to the other, because it takes about 15 minutes with each swap. So if I do 4, that's an hour going from one and then an hour going back from the other. I don't have 2 hours today to mess with the camera with the angle. And it's not my stand. I'm borrowing somebody else's to try this out, and I do like it. If it was mine, maybe I would figure out a way to mark some tape, but I'm not even sure because it's got like 3 different places that I have to move on it. And then I have to come look at myself, which I hate. Okay, so here's the trick. I put this little shimmery white piece through first, and it only needs 1 cut because it's just shimmery white, and it's stitched. So I'm going to pull that out because I don't want it to move. The foil is a little bit thicker cardstock, so I'm going to send it back through one more time, but I didn't want that shimmery white to go through, so I've just pulled it out. Line that back up. This way I won't have to poke any of this. You've seen me do this on another video. So it's just better not to roll it again and not have to worry about poking. So just give it a flip over, make sure that everything on it You can tell it's lifting right up, so we're good. So that's all the die cutting that we need. And let me go ahead and aim this down a little bit more. I don't know that that's any better because see, I have to pull, like my whole stand has to move to get, because Facebook likes you to do your camera long ways, YouTube likes you to do your camera wide, so it's just, I need like a camera person. But since I have no help and since I have no budget, you go with what you got. Okay, so we're gonna use Waterfront on this little panel here. Get some scrap paper, because I'm gonna do a little bit of overstamping. My color palette is Smoky Slate, Basic Gray, and Old Olive. And then I've got the one that can be water or a mountain, and the one that can be a mountain or a cloud. And I'm gonna use Smoky Slate. And first I'm going to stamp with the large mountain. I'm going to put it as close to the top as I can without going into the stitching and off the edge. And then I'm going to use the other one to just give the feel of a mountain range. And every card's going to look a little bit different depending on how you stamped it. And Smoky Slate does dry lighter as it dries. My table gets a little bit clearer. Now I can move this project off. Now I'm gonna do the little cottage. It comes with a little cottage, or like a little hunting hut is kind of what it reminds me of. Or the size of cottage perhaps that we could afford if we bought one in the mountains. Or a little outhouse kinda. It's maybe the elves' cottage. It's a tiny little cottage. If you have the new one, the house is a little bit bigger. But it's a sweet little thing on this card. So the basic gray will be darker than the mountains once the mountains have dried. Now we're gonna do the little grove of pine trees in Old Olive. And there's a set of 3, so you wanna get some on both sides and you want them all at different heights. So I started on this side because there's only so many places you can put them on this side. And then that will kind of determine on the other side where they go. These will be the focal ones, so let's get them a little lower. And then we need some over here to kind of finish it off. You don't want them in the exact same spot, so kind of move them up so they don't all the trunks aren't in the same spot. So there's our little scene. Let's do our buffalo check. If you watched me on Facebook, totally did this in a different order, which just goes to show you can do this stamping for these projects in pretty much any order. I'm doing this first on this one because I'm gonna add snow to my mountains, and I had to heat set them on my last one because that was the last thing I did, and so I had to put the snow on. Now they're gonna have a second to dry, so I won't have to heat set them. Okay, so I have my buffalo check. I've mounted it on here, and the reason I'm using my Stamparatus is I want a nice, clean buffalo check image. And so this will allow me to stamp it probably twice will be good enough. So you can see where it's stamping because it's stamped a couple of times, and I've drawn little corner marks. And then I added just a little bit of snail to hold it in place because I know that it's gonna take, if you want it to look like flannel, but I do know it's going to take more than one time. If you want it to look like flannel and you're doing color on color or on one of our colored cardstocks, then often one stamp is good enough, like one time inking. But because it's going on this vanilla background, it does take. That looks like it might be crooked. We'll just hope it's not. So give it a good press all up and down because it's a big stamp, and we're getting almost the whole thing. I cut my paper. It's not a standard 4 by 5 1/4. I did a little bit larger because this is shimmery white, And if you're gonna go with a shimmery white background, you might as well get as much as you can, because it's just going on vanilla. You can go all out. See, it's not stamped perfectly, but that's okay. Just make sure this is butt up into the corner, and then if it moves like that, you know it's gonna stamp in the same spot again. It is a tad crooked, but that's okay. There's a lot going on this card, so I don't think that you'll notice. That's what happens when you don't put your head directly over something. Stamp this. And again, press. You can do 3 or 4 coats. Like if you're doing a wedding card or something where you want it to be dead on perfect, then you could keep going. 2 will be plenty, I'm sure. I'm gonna go 1 more. And again, it's because I'm not with my head over the top or standing up. Normally when I use my Stamparatus, I stand up. Maybe I could stand up. But camera angles are what they are right now. I also think that this isn't the juiciest of my memento pads, which would help. Here, let me stand up. We'll see if that makes a difference. Because when you stand up, you can press a little bit harder and you don't have to rub. There we go. That should have it now. Oh, look at the difference a little bit of pressure makes. If I'd stood up the first time, we might have only had to do it once. So learn from me, just stand up. And then plus you get some exercise while you're stamping. And then I usually just take this. I take the whole plate off like this, and then I just take it to the sink and rinse it off. And then that just comes right off. Super easy cleanup. Okay, now let's put this thing together. Now I'm going to have gone from having wet ink on my other card on this. Well, let's do this, because this will stay wet because there's so much ink on it. It'll stay wet for a second. So let's do the snow. Because sometimes at stamp camp, everybody gets their hands dirty, and it's just because it doesn't take long for that to dry, but it's black, and so any place where there might be a little smudge that's a little wetter, it could be wet, and it'll get on my hands, and then it'll, you have a little black smudge somewhere on your white card, and we don't want that. So here's our Snowfall Accents puff paint. I'm gonna turn this my direction because I want some snow-capped mountains. And you literally just trace it on where you want your snow-capped mountains. You don't need a ton, and you can also like make some snow caps where there are none. Which is kind of fun because this just covers up, it's white, so. You can just add a couple of caps where there aren't any. And then I didn't add glitter because I was going for more of a rustic looking card. I didn't want sparkles. So now I'm gonna let that sit for a second. If you were doing like multiples of these for your Christmas cards, at any point when you're done with the first and you've gone to your 10th, that it would be dry. See, I already got a little bit of black. It's not quite all the way dry. So instead of flipping it over, let's put our adhesive on here. That way when we lift this up, I'm gonna put this up the top. And remember I said I cut it so it's almost the size of the card front. And then touch it with your bone folder. And if it's wet, your bone folder will get dirty, which can be rinsed off easier than your hands while you're working. Okay, let's get our beautiful little frame. And this, if there's a part of your thing that didn't stamp right, feel free to flip it. Like if over here would be smudgy, flip it so that's covered up. If over here, you can see mine's not quite as stamped beautiful. So I'm gonna put the snowflakes over there. If it all looks great, then just go for whichever side you think looks prettier, because there isn't a right or a wrong. Now you do want to heat this up before you put the adhesive on here. Before you put it on here, because if you do it second, the heat will melt your adhesive off. But my snow needs to cool before it is hard, or else it would flatten. So I'm going to put these on here, and that way I'll just be able to lay it on here and it will adhere that way, and I won't have to smash my snow. Okay, so now let's heat this up. I give it just a second to set so it doesn't blow everywhere. You do need to hold on to it. That's it. And so see, if that had been on my dimensionals, it would have just melted them off. And now if I press on it, it will flatten it back down. Once it's cool, it will be hard and it will stay nice and raised up, even if you mail it. So now this is all ready for these to stick on here. I couldn't remember if I took the things off. So just pop that on there. And here's this. And then to just make it a tad more Christmassy, I took these out of the holiday catalog. They are our Star Designer Elements, and they're out of the Brightly Gleaming suite. You will use them all year round. I know they're in the Christmas suite, but think about them for little boy cards, 4th of July cards, farmhouse kind of looking cards, anybody that likes country. But for here, they're going to just make this one little Christmas tree next to the cottage, or one little pine tree be a Christmas tree. And the copper with the olive and the gray and the black is just perfect. Perfect, perfect. And how much fun is that? I mean, you have to have the buffalo check. This card would not be what it is without the buffalo check. And there is a new mini one in the catalog, the holiday catalog, which is a small one, but it wouldn't do this card because you do need the whole thing. So you see here, I have now 3 of them because I have my original, I have my Facebook Live, and I have my YouTube. And this one I didn't change. I mean, the placement of the mountains and the trees kind of change each time depending on where you hit that first mountain. You kind of have to base it. But I love this as is. The only thing that's changed is I did make my shimmery white panel a little bit bigger, because you might as well fill the whole thing with shimmer if you're going to use it, because you're not going to use those little slivers. So I hope you like that. I do have lots of specials today going on with the flash sale as well as the flash sale. So make sure you check that out. You do have to use my host code unless your order is over $150, because I want you to get the hostess benefits if your order is. You still get all of the goodies if your order is over $150. So you can check those out. And because I will have so many cards at the end of the day, some random people, when you place your orders, you will get those cards as a thank you. So have a great day. I will look forward to seeing you back a little bit later today. Bye.